Hiram from Tira. He was a widow's son. Into getting right into Masonic knowledge in this book, and why the Masons have put their insignia on that book, and not on the Quran, not on the Bhagavad Gita, but on the Bible, because it is Moorish science that they have inherited as Masonic science. Elizabeth Cooper, in her book, Medieval Freemasonry, and her footnotes, writes Freimar, which is the German articulation, but her interpretation of Freimar is this. She doesn't interpret Moor. Freemason. And any scholar of any report knows this is more in the Greco-Latin, German, English language. In fact, Clinton almost gave it away when he was talking to the East Germans when they tore down the wall. He said, "East Germany is Frei. It is Frei." You know, he almost said Frei Moor. He had to catch himself. Frei means free. So we enter it by the meaning of words. Key thing for the student of divine and human and cultural nature is to know the meaning of words. As we pointed out about the concept apocalypsis, it does not mean tragedy, the planet's coming to an end. This is how you shave off accumulated stress and worry. Find out what the hell people are talking about, you know, and what things really mean. We're getting out of the collective consciousness. We're not part of the herd anymore. So when somebody says boo, we don't run. You know, and it happens. We're downtown on Alabama Street, and somebody from way down on the other end of the corner, some kids, so run up the street and got midway in the street and hollered, "He got a gun!" And everybody started running. Oh, folks, oh. You know, that's the collective consciousness that moves in beliefs, that moves in superstition, that crosses the street when the light turns green and the car hasn't passed in 15 minutes, and they stand there and wait and wait and wait and wait on the light for a light to tell them to cross the street. That's the collective mind. That's what we're getting out of by way of knowledge. Truly, knowledge is power. I want you to read this chapter here, because I'm never going to tell you all of something. Don't expect me to. In fact, don't expect anybody to teach you A to Z. Hell, they won't leave you nothing to do. But you need the keys to open those doors of the temple. What's the temple? Young lady. Don't be doing it. If you do this long enough, your head will come off. Don't do this. You do know. Stop and think. You didn't stop to think. Your head, as soon as I said that, your head went like this. You're sitting in the temple. Thank you. Wherever you see the word temple, it means your body. It doesn't mean the synagogue, the church, and the masjid. It means your body in anybody's sacred scripture, including the Kibali. For those who know these laws understandably, for him, all the doors of the temple will magically fly open. Talking about your spiritual doors, not some temple in the east somewhere. Okay? So wherever you see the word temple, it's talking about your body. Important. He was a widow's son from the tribe of Naphtali, and his father was a man of Tira, a worker in bronze. And he was filled with wisdom and understanding and skill for doing any work in bronze. So he came to King Solomon and performed all his works. And he fashioned the 2 pillars of bronze. 18 cubits was the height of one pillar, and a line of 12 cubits measured the circumference of both. We're not talking about cubits in symbology. We're talking about, in this, 18, which is what? Come on, let me hear. What is 18, y'all?
9.
Thank you. Is anybody in the temple? Okay. 12 is what?
3.
No, it's not. That's 12. Ain't that 12?
3.
Is that 12? The theologian is talking about trying to find cubits and stuff to try to... That ain't what the book is talking about. These are not the measurements of a temple outside. These are the measurements of your body in the circle of 360 degrees divided by 12 segments of 30 degrees. Ain't it? You can hear like this. Because we went over this here, okay? But now we're applying it to self in those secret places. So that you know the knowledge is relevant to your spirituality and to your destiny. That's what's important about this book, the Bhagavad Gita, the Quran, 99 books. Still talking about a circle. Okay. But don't let loose of that, because if you do, you're going to slide right back down on your knees. Okay. Stay upright. All right. I'll read that again, verse 15. And he fashioned the 2 pillars of bronze. 18 cubits was the height of one pillar, and a line of 12 cubits measured the circumference of both. These are the symbols of. A pillar is a symbol of your left and right nervous systems, the cerebral, spinal, sympathetic nervous systems. Those are the pillars that hold you upright. If they shut off, you collapse. That's how you go to sleep. If the brainstem cuts off the neuron transmitters to the nervous system, so that you no longer need to sit up, keep your eyes open, and stay conscious. And you're blinking. But this is the architecture of Solomon's temple. And where's Solomon's temple? Okay, let's see if I can trick you. Thank you, darling. Thank you. That's right. You are Solomon's temple. When certainly the other way. This is the way one author writes. Sol, Om, Om. The sun, the word, now this is, in one literature it is Anu. In the other writing it is written S-O-L, Om, and then Mom. This is the Latin word for man. So when you see man, as in Moorman, that means more man. Okay? The Latter-day Saints are Mormons. They are Moors, following your ethnocentric cultural identity. And their Christ is called Morani. All right. Okay. Oh, we got me hooked upstairs up there, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yes, sir.
So I don't have to trip all over the car no more. Is that what you're trying to tell me, brother?
Yeah, turn it up.
Oh, okay. All right. Is it on yet?
Camera's good.
I forgot I didn't have the thing on.
Camera's good. sir.
The camera's still on? Yeah. Are we getting any sound?
Yes.
Okay, that's wonderful. I don't look too intelligent sitting there moving my mouth and no words coming out. Okay. Okay, let's look at the two poles. Now, I wanted to, this is like evidencing what's there is scriptural, okay? So I'm going to skip over to verse, okay, verse 20 to verse 21. 1 Kings 7:13 is where you start. Then we're going to switch over to verse 21. Thus he set up the pillars at the porch of the nave, and he set up the right pillar and named it Jokthim, or Jokchin. And he set up the left pillar and named it Boaz. Boaz. And on top of the pillars was lily design, so the work of the pillars was finished. Now he made the sea of cast metal. Okay, we're getting past where I'm going. Okay. This is Jokthim, represents the sun. In Egyptian symbology, one of these pillars is a female, Isis. The other is a male, Ra. Okay? One, the cerebral spinal system deals with your intellect thinking processes throughout the whole of the mental body. The other, the sympathetic nervous system, deals with your feeling and emotional feeling nature. Those are the male-female principles of nature. And when they're in disharmony, in conflict, that human being is in serious trouble. Much of our striving and struggling is because we cannot balance. We cannot equate our thinking, our feelings, and our emotions in a perpendicular line. We're in conflict in some part of our own individual nature. That's why we argue. The argument is not with the other person, it's with oneself. But being so subjectively involved in the compulsion of our emotional nature, our feeling nature, we can't distinguish that we're really arguing with ourselves. And if we record our arguments, we usually answer our own question in the argument. So these pillars, these great pillars, represent your nervous system, the support of the whole of what makes you a human being, as opposed to an upright chicken or an upright duck. Not that they don't have a cerebral spinal system. It's not hooked into the will center. They're hooked into the subconscious. Now he made the sea cast metal 10 cubits from brim to brim. I missed one symbol here. It isn't here. Verse 17. There were nets of network and twisted threads of chain work for the capitals, which were on top of the pillars. 7 for the one capital and 7 for the other capital. Those twisted networks you will find on the back of the dollar bill, the web, to let you know that the whole architectural design that is being talked about in this particular chapter is about the zodiac and how the zodiac describes and circumscribes your human and divine nature. And that's the first entrance into Masonic science. Not Masonic symbology, which is in the Brotherhood. Okay? You can buy that on the shelves, so that you can shake hands and get favors, get the right grip, the right hug, the right stance, so that you get a raise or get out off scot-free in front of your brother. But don't think you get away with anything. There is nothing down here free. Understand that. Okay? Understand that everything you get, you certainly will pay for. So everything you pay for, you may not get. But the symbol of the sun and moon is intellect, masculine, moon, mother, or emotional. So we have what? If this is masculine and this is feminine, what does that say?
That's the duality.
What word is up there on top of those two pillars?
Sun and moon.
What word is up there? You see me moving over out your way, don't you?
Mason.
Thank you.
Mason.
All right. Okay. So we know that this is a natural word from nature, translated into English. It may be something else. In the Latin, it is Masine, which means the messenger. But that's exoteric. That's the outer. We're talking esoteric, the inner. Okay. Let me go a little faster here because I want to cover a certain amount of this.
Short is not on the video. Short is not on the video.
Sir, the chart is not on the video. Thank you. Okay. And let us move it on the video. Can we be seen now?
A little bit more.
A little bit more.
There you got it.
Got it there. Okay. Kind of hemmed in here, but that's all right. Made some symbols.
Student, the flowers in our way in the back.
Okay, my brother. Okay. Brother, sit those on top of, comfortably and carefully on top of that machine, so we had no sliding and no foul magic going on. Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. These are the three minor degrees of the candidate for the Masonic order. The entered apprentice, the one who's invited into the Masonic order. You don't go knocking on the door and say, what's up? Okay, somebody takes you to the door. Knowing nothing is a state that is assumed for the entered apprentice. Doesn't matter if you've been studying 86 years. When you walk into that chamber, you're ignorant. That's the assumption the initiate must make, because the master mason is making that assumption about him. The fellow craftsman, the one who learns the meaning of his craft. Now this is where the word witchcraft gets intertangled with the legitimacy of the science and the art of the Moor and Mason. This does not mean that there are no witches, and that there isn't a craft called witchcraft. There is, but witchcraft means wisdom craft. That would be then the spiritual sciences and arts. Astrology, numerology, and of course symbology. And then behind closed doors we get into various degrees of magic. The problem is there is a dark side in that order, just as there's a dark side in the Baptist church, the Holiness church, in the masjid, in the synagogue. The devil is wherever God is. He ain't gonna leave it. So you need to be able to make the distinction between who you're talking to and with. And you can tell them by their fruits. The dark side will tell on itself. Just like the good side will tell on itself. You know them by their fruits. Their fruits first are their words. They're always speaking something favorable, something positive. They're always trying to shed some light. The dark side is always busy lying and conniving and sneaking, doing the snake, which means sneak. Okay. Then the Master Mason degree. When one reaches a certain level of, now what we have here is two aspects of a science. One is ritual and symbols. When you learn a certain amount of knowledge in this order, you can reach these degrees without having power. That's probably the problem, because it is both an exoteric order and an esoteric order, an outer order and an inner order. The spiritual goes on by yourself. The exoteric is about the brothering. Notice I'm not saying brotherhood. I'm saying brothering. That's a Masonic word for brother. Okay? Brothering, the brother. Met a preacher on the bus going back to Cleveland from Atlanta in despair. And I happened to look back and saw the pin on the dude's suit. I said, "Oh, you traveling east, huh?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Are you among the brethren?" I said, "No, I'm not traveling by donkey, but by air." And we started talking. He was amazed that I knew something about what he considered to be exclusively Masonic science, which told me he may not have known that he was a Moor. I don't know, but I let him know who I was and where this knowledge is being found. The Royal Arch degree is the higher order. Now, I'm in question as to whether there is a black order of the Royal Arch. The Royal Arch degree in the European school includes astronomers as well as astrologers. Okay, I have to plead ignorance to that degree. I'm not sure. But this is a spiritual level of that order. When they get here, they must be dealing in some spiritual development, okay, rather than just doing the crafts and the symbols and the lore, where advantages prestige and self-esteem. We're going to overlook the senior warden and the junior warden. We're not going all the way into the lodge. Because I'm not interested in educating you about Masonry. What I'm doing is letting you see how Moorish knowledge gave birth to what is presently called Masonry. That's my objective. Keep your eye on the clock, because we're going to cut this short. We're going to do a 30-minute meditation. Can you all already smell the flowers? If you ain't all clogged up. Symbolism, and you see up the top up here, the abbreviation of the ancient word sim, which is the drawing of a representation of an image on the ground. That's the basic meaning of the ancient word sim. And of course, sim, S-C-Y-M, is the symbols, which is a symbol, a time musical symbol, to further emphasize the broad periphery of symbology and symbolic language, which is also musical as well as spoken and written. These are the tools of secret language in this world planetary system of Masonry. As far as I know, it is the only world brotherhood on the planet. And this is how they speak. No matter what language they're taught, they all speak this one secret language. And here it is. Jewels, tools, badges, emblems, degrees, steps, signs, grips, words, ceremonies, points, lines, angles, surfaces, and stories. Everything I just mentioned is in here. So that we know pretty well that the author of the translation of this book was a Mason. Not only a Kabbalistic writer, he was a Masonic Kabbalistic writer whom Hiram Bay believes or is convinced that it was Roger Bacon under the German name of Christian Croxus or
Christian
Croxus. It's where they get the Rosicrucian order from. And of course, the suspect is that Roger Bacon was Shakespeare. And it makes sense to me. Now, don't interrupt me, otherwise I'll lose my thought. Bring your questions up a little bit later. So that we can see how this transitional process took place. It is also given in history that Roger Bacon traveled east, which automatically, when anybody writes that, means he was a Mason. It didn't say travel to Africa, it said he traveled east. Okay. That means he's a traveling man. In fact, your boy is a Mason. The one out there doing Elijah stuff, he's a traveling man. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Oh.
Back
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's traveling.
He'll tell you.
Yeah.
He said, I'm a traveler.
Yeah, but he's traveling straight up. He knows where he's traveling to. Okay, which is probably the reason why he's busy teaspoon feeding his flock. Because if he's taking that oath, certain stuff he can't tell you. If he's keeping to the oath. Which is probably why he was seen talking to some white boy about something. And it's all right. Okay, anyway. This is their language. But the key of symbolic language came from your ancestors. There were other sets of symbols that the ancient Kemetic Moors, so-called Egyptians, used. In fact, the whole of one level of the language of the ancient Moors was a symbolic pictographic language called hieroglyphics. So we know where they came from. Any European scholar admits and adheres to the fact that the oldest language on the planet known is hieroglyphic. So we know the origin of, which means what? That in the back of your subconscious mind is and are the keys of symbolic languages. You had a nightmare or a strange dream. Well, I had a strange dream. Okay? Yeah, I'm not going to spend a whole class explaining each one of those. I was supposed to bring the trestle board with me, and I didn't bring it. The trestle board you have seen several times in many outstanding movies where the very rich guy has his mansion, and the detective comes in, and they open the door, and you go in, and you see this beautiful black and white floor. Black squares and white squares. That's the trestle board. Anytime you see that on anybody's film, TV, whoever loaned them, rented them, let them use that building is a Mason. That's the trestle board. That's your body. The positive and negative aspects of human nature is the floor in the lodge. That's the body, the trestle board. The cable tow. This information is about the initiate coming into the lodge. And he comes in butt naked. He's divested of his clothes and his things to remind him that he has nothing of power and he has no ownership and possesses nothing of value. Then they hoodwink him, put a blindfold over his eyes so that he then knows he has no knowledge because he cannot see, and his greatest need then is light. In the ritualism of the Moorish Science Temple, they do the same thing. Put a handkerchief over your eyes and then march you up a 12-rung ladder. It's a kind of a copy of this ritual. Then take a flashlight and flash the flashlight on your forehead as if giving you light. All symbolic, same thing, except the basics are pretty culturally primitive. You sing, I'm walking up a 12-rung ladder. It really felt good to hear them sing that. I was somewhat of surprised to hear that little Baptist hymn being sung in a Moorish ritual. The cable tow are 4 ropes that represent the 4 aspects of human senses, which has us bound down. Your sight, hearing, those are the only senses we have. We have 4 body senses. Feeling does not belong to the body. It is you that does the feeling in the body and through the body. Feeling, nature, belongs to the soul. The reason you know that is when you withdraw your essence in meditation, your limbs go dead. They lay dead in the streets. Did anybody get a flash of Book of Revelation when I said it? The olive tree. The 2 prophets. When they are killed. They lay dead in the streets. All right? Okay. You're bound with these 4 ropes to remind you that you're tied into your senses and the body, and virtually that you are a slave to the body. That you serve the body. That the body is your master. Then the ritual continues based on the introduction to the knowledge that will give you light and free you from bondage. The Bible, the square, and the compass are considered the 3 great lights in Masonry. The knowledge of self is in the book, but the initiate, the student, must find it. I'm pretty sure, without being in that lodge, knowing they don't come out and hand you out lesson A, lesson B, lesson C. Okay, you got to go get it. You're the seeker of knowledge. You're the seeker of truth. That's your nature. You start off digging in your nose and digging in your ear and digging in your butt, in every orifice that you have, because you're seeking the meaning of things. But then somebody tells you when you get a little bigger, don't do that, that's nasty. Instead of telling you what the nose is and the butt is, okay? They stop the search. You get in class, and suddenly you turn and see something in your own mind, and you're seeing something on another plane. And somebody says, Junior, turn around, pay attention. They take you out of your own level of consciousness. That's how we're learning in the West. We're brought to the outer. Children are not told to meditate. They're not told to visualize. Use their imagination. See something and draw it. Pay attention to the teacher. This is A. This is B. Well, what the hell does A and B mean, teacher? But one of them ought to stand up and say one day, to the shock of the teacher. So that when one is blindfolded, they then need the guide. That's the second purpose of blindfolding the initiate. To lead the guide towards the light, the 3 great lights, the square, the compass, and the Bible. To measure the fullness, towards the measure of the fullness of the statue of Christ. in whatever language you prefer, is what the measure of the square and the compass is about. It is not about a circle on a board or a piece of paper. That's the secondary process. Okay? In spiritualization, all the knowledge comes alive because it comes to you as self-knowledge. So the measure of self is the purpose of the square and the compass. The right angle tells you if you are in alignment with your feeling nature and your thinking nature, or if you're in contradiction to. The three lesser lights, what did I write that? Don't forget these three. The triune self, the doer, the thinker, and the knower. You are the knower. That's you in the body. Thinking. Then you do. That's the correct order. Most people are doing because somebody else is telling them what to do and doing almost no thinking and know not that they are the knower. So we're talking about the order of things in the search and discovery of self-knowledge. The lesser lights are in the external. The physical sun, the physical moon, and in this instance would be the master of the lodge, which is someone who's supposed to shed some light for you in the lodge, in knowledge seeking. Supposed to tell you about certain books, certain literature, or certain teachers, or certain techniques. That's part of the Master of the Lodge's work. Okay? We're not going to finish all of this. This book is almost completely Masonic symbology. The white apron represents in the Masonic order, because here is where this distinction starts being made between Moorish science and Masonic science. The white apron does not come from Eurocentric Masonic science. To do good art here, just trying to. This is the original apron. You want me to? Yeah, throw it. Thank you. This is the original apron. Now this is the Masonic apron.
Be surprised if I dig in my bag and grab out of it. Usually lamps in it.
First of all, the Eurocentric Masonic apron is a what?
Lamp.
Is it what?
Square.
Thank you.
Square.
That is not a square. What is that?
Triangle.
Thank you. But then, of course, the triangle is on here. Okay. We're not going to get into the science of the apron, except I want you to know that the lambskin apron, this is cotton, is the ancient apron given to the initiate. Lambskin is wool. The word for wool in the Kemetic language is Sufis. In the exoteric, it means wool. In the esoteric, it means wisdom. Now, look at this word here. Sufu, Khufu. Cheops is Greek. His name was Khufu. Khufu, Sufu. His name was Sufis, wise one. The little short black man with the fez on his head that's given credit for building the Pyramid of Giza is Sufis. Pharaoh Sufis, or Pharaoh Sufis, who is called Khufu. The symbol of physical body, a symbol of 4 elements of nature, that's where the square comes in, because the triangle implies the square. The triangular flap is 3 parts of triune self and the 3 levels of mind. You all can't see that from back there, can you? Okay, let me read it again. The lambskin is the symbol of the physical body. That's the first thing it's a symbol of. Okay? A symbol of the 4 elements of nature. Everybody knows what those are. B, it is a 4-fold body through its 4-fold system. A 4-fold body through its 4-fold system. He was supposed to zoom in on this, but he's busy back there doing something. Put it back where it was. Yes, sir. Oh, you can zoom in on the back there? Okay. Okay. Then the triangle represents the 3 levels of mind. Intellect, imagination, intuition is the first level of mind it relates to. Then it relates to the superconscious, the conscious, and the subconscious. But what we're talking about is the nucleus in the center of consciousness is intellect, imagination, intuition. When those 3 are functioning, you have the access to the creative mind of God. Okay? By function, I mean fully awake. That's how you see from a distance. From a distance meaning from here to next year. Not from here to the corner. Okay? When those 3 are hooked up. All right. The gauge and the gavel, 2 implements of development to hack off the rough edges. These are, what kind of tools are these? Anybody? Yes. Stonemason tools. Old stonemason tools. Past Europe, all the way back to that building in the middle of the desert. That's where these tools were invented by your ancestors. So they symbolically represent building the perfect building. Not made with hands, eternal in the heavens. And there's only one that can do that. That's Mama. He's the only one who can make that building. But you must make the spiritual building. And that's where we get into, I'm going to jump over. We're going to get back to this, but I want to get certain statements said here. That's where to build that building, because I want to give you a secret that leads us right into meditation. That's where we get into Hiram Abiff in the temple as the temple is being completed. Now the story is contrived by the Masonic order in its folklore, because actually, according to scriptures, Hiram finished all his works for Solomon. But in the contrived story of the Massine, he did not finish. And having not finished, he tried to leave the building. And he tries to leave the building by the south gate. But before he does that, it is important to know that there were 15 workers working under Hiram Abiff. So when Hiram leaves his post, one of the workers sends the 3 ruffians in search of Hiram Abiff. And they find him first at the south gate. And he tries to leave by the south gate. Anybody know where the south gate is? Huh? Then he's stopped by one of the 3 ruffians. And they hit him with the compass. So he retreats, and he tries to leave then by the west gate. And another ruffian stops him, and he hits him with the square. So he runs, and he tries then to leave by the north gate. And in the north gate, he's killed. Then they bury him in a shallow grave in the east. Okay, that's the story of Hiram Abiff. These are the three ruffians: Jubilah, Jubilo, and Jubilam. When you take 3 from 15, what does that leave? So the 12 workers are still with Hiram Abiff in the temple. The three ruffians are, what's the first one?
Jubilee,
What's the second one?
Jubilee,
What's the third one?
Jubilee.
Anybody see anything familiar? All right. Not just Om, you see what else? Aom and Om. Yes. The word, the lost word. It's found in Jubilo, Jubilah, and Jubilah. That's what the Mason is searching. The reason they are not or without power is because they're divided and unaware of who they are. Hiram Abiff is not just the man in the story, he's also the vita libra in the spermatosa and the ovum. That's why he can try to leave by the south gate. And then try to leave by the west gate. Up the vertebrae, up the spinal cord. See? Then try to leave by the east gate, by the heart. Then up to the north gate. That's where Hiram dies. That's where we all die, in the becoming. In the north gate, you lose your personal identity. Your ego is lost. Here you become God or Christ. Okay, we're going to stop on this page and get right back to where we left off here. Okay, let's put down your pens and pencils. Into the sanctum sanctorum is the purpose of the art of meditation. Meditation is more of an art than is classifiably a science, because the science of meditation is invisible. You do that work on the inner plane. But the art of meditation is something we can all and should all study. And in fact, the primary purpose of meditation
I wonder where you got that
is
from.
to do absolutely nothing in the becoming, in the losing of the ego self to become the divine self. In the art of meditating, one finds or discovers that the body is able to correct its own condition by itself, is able to heal itself, is able to re-establish its own rhythm just by meditating. The body is allowed the opportunity to correct itself. In the process of, that's not one meditation or two, in the process of. Why it's important to keep emphasizing the necessity of setting up a regular routine of meditating, because you have two things you must do. One, you must convince the subconscious that it's going to get benefits from meditation. If you don't, the subconscious is going to war with your conscious mind about that time slot, because the subconscious is frightened by the unknown. And when you sit in meditation, you bring the unknown to the level of the subconscious. It is designed to keep the body on this plane. That's its work. That's all it knows. So it finds reasons to keep you from getting back to that chair. And believe me, it finds reasons to do it. It'll make you run into something on your way home if you're going home to meditate. It can be that strong and have that strong of a pull on the whole of your body. Because the Lord of the body is the subconscious. Until you take charge of the temple. Until you become Lord of the earth. Until that time, much of what you do is under the jurisdiction of the subconscious mind. That is an intelligent mind, except it depends upon its glandular fluids for its sustenance. And those glandular fluids provided with pleasures. The subconscious can be talked into another level of acceptance. Just as if you were talking to your child, your friend, or your brother, or your lover. The subconscious will obey the soul, the spoken word, the speaker. That's a process of reconditioning, and it works. But you have to work with it. Now, I'm saying this as I've said it before, and every time we have a class of meditation, I'm going to remind you to work at meditating. Okay? That's important. If you're going to get something of value from the whole of this, other than some interesting information, that we're concerned with at this particular point is breathing. Whatever comes through your nose, open your hand, must affect the prefrontal lobes of your brain. If it smells putrid, you frown. If it smells good, you smile. In other words, you're able to affect your own mental attitude by odor and aroma. This is a sense meditation whereby we're going to intoxicate to some degree our sense of smell, thereby intoxicate our sense of imagination, thereby intoxicate our sense of touch. Sitting there, smell the flower, bring it up to your nostrils and get a sweet whiff of several times. meditating. I want you to smell, not meditate. Smell. This is an aromatic meditation. We're reaching inside with our sense of smell. Again, just keep doing it. Don't stick it up your nose, just get a good influence of the aroma of the rose. Now hold the rose in your left hand. Take your right thumb and close your right nostril. And 3 times inhale. Again. 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 Change nostrils. 3 times. Again. Again. Bring it down. Breathe in through your nose and out your mouth 6 times. Sit back, sit back. Just breathe. Just one breathe. Again. 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 Breathe. Just breathe. Deep breaths, come on. Through the nose, out the mouth. Open your mouth and let the old oxygen out. Again. Again. Breathe. Out the mouth. Deep breaths. Again. Again. Breathe. Again. 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 I know you're getting a good look at the rose, so if you know what it looks like, you know what it feels like, breathe. You know what it smells like. The symbol of divine love. Love is a power, not as an emotion. Love is a divine quality, not as a virtue. Breathe. 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 Again, breathe. 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 Open your mouth, let it out. Breathe. Breathe. Everyone keep breathing. Inhalation. exhale. Breathe. Just breathe. Regular breathing. Inhale, exhale. Deep breaths. Deep. Let it out. Breathe. Very good. Breathe. 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 Let it out. Breathe. 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 Keep breathing. Keep breathing. Keep breathing. No talking. Breathe. Just keep breathing. Trying to get drunk in